Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are meeting for the last session in this month's series, where we are talking about finding and getting in touch with different kinds of resources. Uh, so far, we have spoken about tangible and intangible resources which are there within us. Last week, we spoke about tangible resources which are there around us. There are, our ancestors, our parents, other family members through whom we have access to different tangible resources. People around us, maybe our friends or, uh, you know, uh, anybody with whom we are socially connected, and how those resources are readily available and we can find out our way to access them. That's what we discussed last week. This week, we want to talk about intangible resources which are present around us. So, if we look at the last week's discussion, we started with looking at our family, our ancestral lineage, our great grandparents, grandparents, our parents, our uncles and aunts. So many times today we were discussing when Priya and I were discussing about, what we want to discuss today or what we want to share. We found one thing that when somebody starts working on themselves, usually it begins with they feeling victim of their situation. And when they step into any kind of self work, they find themselves being a victim of their ancestors or parents' wrongdoings towards them. Yeah. And in the process of healing, we keep getting aware of how we are different than them or what we could have gotten better. At the same time, they also have lots of resources. And when these resources are intangible, I think it becomes even more difficult to look for them, see them when they are there, and at least be open to receive them. Something which is tangible has a proper form and it can be easy to recognize. But then an intangible resource, maybe somebody has a very good quality which helps them, negotiate during any conflict. And we have seen that maybe in our parents or grandparents or something. And we have sometimes, like when I look back, I think I have spoken about such qualities in my forefathers with a proud feeling, but that thought never occurred to me that, I can seek it when I seek blessings from them. I can at least have that intention that I would like to imbibe this from you. I would like to open my heart to receive this from you. So I think our family, it is so much present there. And then we are talking about intangible resources which are difficult to be seen. That's how I think we just overlook them so easily. The possibility of we not recognizing these resources in our family particularly is quite high, because I think at least I can speak from my own experience or my client's experience that when we start the self work, it's an experience that I am against them because they have been the victimizers. They have been the people who have led me to feel hurt, these, that. And now I'm doing such a great work that I'm working on my emotions. And then because we are part of them, just like their pains I carried, their resources, their, strengths, which they actually intend for us to get, to receive, and to take on and create our life from there. So today we really want you to start thinking about, when you look at your family tree, your ancestors, what qualities do you see which you have at least, at some point of time as a child or as a grown up person, uh, have admired, have thought that this is such a nice thing and this can be done. So at least start thinking from, you know, from that perspective, with that perspective, and see what can become available for you in your. So that's one thing I think we want to share. Priya, do you want to add anything?
This perspective, I think there are clients, and I'm sure even in our journey we have seen, Gayatri, that there are certain qualities which any person feels I do not want to have like my parents, or I do not want to have it like my grandparents, or they did not have it, so I should have it. Now, when a person gets in touch with these qualities inside themselves, that is also a way of your ancestors helping you get in touch with them, like they being the opposite of. So initially, what starts as a coping, for example, uh, you know, any quality that you feel that my parents did not have, like Gayatri said, the ability to negotiate. If my parents did not have, then person might feel, no, I want to have this quality, or I have this quality inside me, which is unlike them, which is different from what they are. So it is different, and it is maybe the polar opposite only because they have been a particular way. So in that way also an ancestry can help us by not being what we want to be. So this is very difficult to crack, because most times, like Gayatri said, we start from a victim place. They have been a particular way, and hence I am like this. But can we can we use the same statement in a different perception, saying they have been a particular way, and hence I am like. So I think the second statement has more gratitude for whatever they have lived and whatever they have had, both tangible and intangible, to make us the people that of who we are in every way, whether it's tangible or intangible. Because a person, when they reach the journey of healing or awareness, have reached a particular age in their life where they can reflect, where they can subjectively see their life, their parents' life, their ancestral ancestry in a particular way. So as much as I think what Gayatri and I want to really say is, as much as we say that we need to heal what our ancestors have given us, we also need to be very, very grateful for what they have lived, how they have lived, not only in terms of tangibly what they have given us, but for whatever they have done. For example, a person might have had the courage to move away from their village and go and settle in another place. It was very new. Had that person not done that at that point in time, then the ancestry must have been a different way, right? So just because they chose to live a particular way, we are able to live a particular way, right? That is so intangible. That is so, that is so unsaid and unseen and untouched in our journey of healing, that most times we look at what have they given us tangibly. But had that choice not been made, or had they not done this, or had they not lived this, so the very life that your ancestors have lived is a very, very big intangible resource for you. Like there's a statement which we give in family constellation. We say, I am because you are, or you were, and I am a child of your family or of your lineage. So the very fact that your life exists because there is an ancestry. And every ancestor, I'm very sure, will want their lineage, their life, the life that they have given to move forward, to move ahead, to become better. So knowingly, unknowingly, in their times, in their lives, whatever they knew, how much they knew, they have done their best to take life forward in a particular way. Yes, it might have served you, it might have not served. That's a difference. So that texture is so intangible, right? So I think, and like many times we sit and say that this aunt has this quality. Oh, she used to be a very good cook, or she is, she was so successful in her own way, or he was so, such a good communicator, or such a social person. I don't know whether I have it in me. There is a possibility of you acquiring it. At the end of the day, it is your answer. In fact, I saw a video very recently in which they said that, and Gayatri and I talked so many times about this, that they say of the 100% DNA that we carry, only 2% has an expression. 98% of our DNA doesn't have an expression, and scientists have not found a reason as to why it is not there. They call it what? Dormant, dead DNA. What do they call it, Gayatri?
They call it junk DNA.
They call it junk DNA. Now, this junk is actually the resources that is there as treasure of your ancestry. It is there. So this is that 98% which is there. And this 98% could have so much, no? So the possibility is huge. It's just that the person needs to be aware to be wanting to tap it. That's all. Uh, we had to talk about intangible resources, but just to wind up the entire month, I think we had something to share, right? Right.
So as we speak about, like, looking for, or at least becoming aware of these intangible resources being there in the family lineage, uh, we also invite you to look for such intangible resources around you in others. Sometimes a friend has some quality and you really appreciate, you find that that's a very good quality, you know, and you would like to reach there someday, where you become someone is very patient, or someone is very clear in their thoughts. So I think as we start observing the world around us, we can look for what all the resources are there around us, and how can we, you know distinguish which resource do I really want. So the world around us can be, uh, you know it can offer the opportunity for us to observe and learn so much about ourselves. Because when we start thinking, maybe, for example, I appreciate some quality in a friend or a colleague, and I find that today I don't know. And if I can put it like this, maybe I am still, from 0 to 10, I am on step 1 to understand how this quality can be embodied. Then I know where my journey lies. If I want to go in that direction, then this much distance is there, and how do I start? So it can bring me so much clarity about myself, so much understanding of what I get, and what all the, resources I already have, which I can use and learn that new quality. And that's how we can keep adding new resources to our plate, our basket, so that we can use them to create what we want to create in life. So, and when I'm working towards having a resource, if that shows me a block also, then that journey becomes, uh, you know going beyond victimhood, because I'm now not a victim. I'm just working on this block to overcome this, so that I can access that particular resource. So even a healing journey can become a journey of creation then. So having said that, in fact, we wanted to talk talk about one of the biggest resources that I think Priya and I uh, truly believe in is any kind of self work. So there are so many kinds of healing modalities or self reflection groups, activities, uh, you know, and at least we both can vouch for the modalities that we practice. And from there, we really believe, because we have experienced it, that this particular space or this particular process that one puts themselves through is very very rewarding, and it can help us get in touch with many resources which at time we can't even think of consciously, because during the process we become aware that, oh, this could also be a resource. I didn't know I needed this resource. So if I didn't know I needed it consciously, I maybe would not even recognize it, even if it comes in front. So any work that can help us to look at our subconscious or unconscious patterns is, I at least we believe, we do not want to disregard any other kind of work, but this goes to a level where we may not consciously think about. So for that matter, any therapy session or any process, any structure, uh, sometimes in a group session we hear somebody sharing something and then that stays with us, and now maybe that statement has become a resource for us. But because every time I'm in a similar situation, it just pops in my head, and then I'm like, oh, I'm getting reminded of looking at a particular situation in this way. And because these processes get guided by the matrix itself, whether it is regression, hypno, or constellation, or any subconscious work, the client's energy matrix is pretty much active and it is guiding. So I think most reliable source to learn over something, get the learning, get the clarity, and convert it into wisdom and become resourceful, comes from within ourselves. So whatever self work inspires you, doing that and finding intangible resources for yourself and doing that every day can be a extremely rewarding and satisfying process. So I think that is one of the biggest intangible resources that we have stumbled upon, thanks to whatever grace.
Yeah, and I think that one of the reasons why we are also talking of any kind of self work, is whenever a person starts self work, they start from a place which is challenging for them, which they feel victim about. So any place that we feel like a victim in life, has a resource for us to live it. That is the journey of life. That's the rule of life, if I can put it. We are not here to live as victims. We are here to go beyond the state of victim and access the resource. So any kind of self help or self work will help us to live the challenging situation well with the resource. So therapy is one, but like Gayatri said, anything. So any person who starts on the journey of self healing starts from a place of being a victim. I think what also we want to say is, at any point in time in life, if you feel like a victim to any circumstance, situation, person, or phase, uh, I'm sure that behind that situation and victim, uh, kind of whatever is victimizing you, is a resource for you to live it. I think that's a point that we want to make, because life is not here to punish us, neither is it here to make us suffer. It's here to expand our consciousness in a particular way. It's like wielding a sword, wielding that resource to live that. moment and live that phase well, no? Right? So I think that's the point that we want to drive through all these 4 weeks. When we talk of resources, the main reason why we started speaking about this is with resources, what can change in your life? How can your life change? Can you start looking at places where you have been a victim or where you feel like a victim to a place where you want to find the resource to live that thing, that phase, that period, that moment where you take charge of your life and you stay in control and you feel that no, you're not at an impact or you're not at a consequence of something, but you're at the source of creation. So we will need something for that. No? When you're in a state of victim, you cannot find it. But once you say, okay, I feel like a victim, but I don't want to feel like a victim any longer, is when the resource will start coming in some way or the other. You will start looking at ways to come out of your victim. And I think the journey of life is that treasure hunt. Right? And I think that's when we actually look at all that we have spoken in these 4 weeks, you know, in a more, in a more, through a magnifying glass, because that's when we say, oh, what do I already have to, to handle this situation? And what do I need more? Right? I think that's the point that we want to drive. That resources are, you know, are huge, it's available, it's abundant. Just today I read a quote, it said, don't seek abundance, seek what limits you to get it, because abundance is there. Same is the case with resources. I think all of us are abundantly blessed with a lot of resources. It's just that we need to know what we need and what we want at any point. Yeah, Gayatri?
That's all then. Should we start with the discussion?